Have you ever been scrolling through your social media feed?
Yeah.
Maybe TikTok, maybe Instagram, and just kind of stopped for a second. Notice just how much visual stuff there is, like video after video, image after image, all these stories. And then maybe, just maybe, this tiny sort of subtle unease starts creeping in. You start thinking, how much of what I'm seeing is actually, well, real? Yeah, well, if you've had that thought, you're definitely not alone. Because today we're diving deep into something researchers are actually calling AI slop.
AI slop, yeah.
It sounds kind of funny, but it's not just a catchy phrase. It describes this rapidly growing thing where our social media feeds are just getting saturated with content that's entirely AI generated.
Right.
And what makes it so effective, and honestly pretty concerning, is how visually plausible it looks. Plus, it costs almost nothing to make, and they can churn it out at lightning speed. This whole combination seems specifically designed to, well, game the algorithm, right, to go viral. So our mission today is really to unpack this comprehensive, quite eye-opening investigation. It's being termed AI-generated algorithmic virality.
It's a big one.
It really is. This groundbreaking research, it systematically looked at AI-generated content and how it's being labeled or not on TikTok and Instagram.
Great.
They pulled data back in June 2025 from Spain, Germany, and Poland. And it looks at a whole range of topics, politics, history, even health stuff. So listening to this, you're about to find out exactly how prevalent this AI content really is in your daily scroll, what it actually looks like, who the true architects behind it are, and maybe most crucially, how the platforms themselves are handling the labeling or, not handling it.
That's a key point.
Absolutely. So if you've been feeling that subtle unease, let's get into exactly what's behind it. And maybe to kick us off with just the sheer scale of this, the research found something pretty staggering. On TikTok specifically, they discovered that roughly 1 out of every 4 videos, think about that, like 25% in the top 30 search results for really popular hashtags like hashtag health, hashtag history, even things like hashtag Trump contain synthetic AI imagery.
1 in 4, that's a lot.
It is. Just let that sink in for a moment. 1 in every 4.
It's a really striking number, isn't it? And what's particularly revealing, I think, is when you contrast that with Instagram.
Right. How did they compare?
Well, while TikTok showed that, really significant volume, Instagram search results actually revealed a much lower presence. Only about 4.9% of the results in the study were AI content.
Okay, so much lower on Instagram, but still there.
Still there. But here's the crucial detail, and it applies to both platforms, which is almost unnerving. A vast majority, we're talking over 80% of the synthetic AI content they identified on both TikTok and Instagram was photorealistic.
Wow, 80%.
Yeah, that means it looks exactly like a real photo or a real video clip, which of course makes it incredibly difficult for you just scrolling through to distinguish it from actual real content at first glance.
Well, okay, let's process that. If you're just casually scrolling, maybe on TikTok, seeing 1 in 4 videos potentially being AI, and knowing that the vast majority, over 80%, looks completely convincingly real. I mean, I have to admit, I've definitely scrolled past things myself and then later thought, wait a minute, was that even real?
Right. We all have.
What does that even mean for how we perceive what's genuinely happening around us? The implications feel, well, pretty immediate and profound, don't they? But okay, who's actually making all this content? It can't just be, your friend messing around with some new AI app.
No, not at the scale.
Right. So the study introduces this really fascinating concept. Agentic AI accounts. They call them AAAs.
AAAs, yeah.
And the research found that over 80%, again, a huge number of the synthetic AI content on TikTok and more than 15% on Instagram was posted by these specific types of accounts. So what exactly are these AAAs?
Well, these AAAs, they represent a new and frankly highly sophisticated type of automated social media account. They're not just creating like a single image here and there. They leverage generative AI tools to automate the entire process.
That whole thing.
Yeah, pretty much everything from researching what's trending to drafting and scheduling the posts, even repurposing content automatically, all at a scale that's just, it's completely unsustainable for any human being.
Wow.
And their primary goal, it seems to be about gaming the algorithm, as you said, using sheer volume.
Yeah.
One of the sources called it a kind of brute force attack on the algorithm.
The brute force attack.
Yeah, just overwhelming the system to increase the chances of their content going viral. And then the next step is usually monetizing it. The research actually identified 3 main ways these agentic AI accounts tend to operate. First, you have what they call monotopic AAAs. These are like laser focused. They stick to one consistent format or one specific subject. So think of an account that just repeatedly regularly posts photorealistic synthetic footage of, I don't know, Donald Trump as a toddler, maybe. Same style, same subject, again and again.
Right, just hammering that one theme.
Exactly. Then second, there are polytopic AAAs. These are a bit more experimental, you could say. They dabble in different styles, different subjects. They often seem to be following trends or maybe even trying to start new mimetic trends. They might post anything from like cartoon animals one day to weird videos of public figures the next.
Or scattershot, trying different things.
Precisely. And finally, the third type is hybrid AAAs. These combine synthetic AI imagery with more traditional content, things like stock photos or maybe found footage. And they use this mix to illustrate stories that are themselves often AI-generated and narrated. These hybrid accounts often lean into those sort of clickbait conventions, focusing on human misery, weird anomalies, unsolved mysteries, anything to grab your attention.
No.
Okay, so they blend the AI stuff with other media to make these clickable stories.
Right, and here's where it gets really interesting, I think. Connecting all this back to the underlying motivation you mentioned. Monetization.
Mm-hmm. Money?
Yeah, the research actually observed these AAAs openly advertising AI-generated products. Or they're promoting guides on, like, how you can make money from synthetic AI content.
Teaching others how to do it.
Exactly. And there's this really compelling example in the study of one agentic AI account that just completely switched its strategy.
Mm.
It started out posting crime-related AI slop, whatever that looked like. Then suddenly it pivoted entirely. It just started posting these repetitive synthetic ads for weight loss products.
Wow, quite a shift.
Yeah, clearly just trying to maximize visibility and, profitability. And maybe on a more disturbing note, the research also found some AAAs that seem to specialize in exploiting explicit content, creating these highly sexualized synthetic clips, often of women. So this isn't just about sharing information or, funny pictures. It's often about pushing an agenda or a product or sometimes something much worse, purely for profit.
So you might be wondering then, okay, what does this AI slop actually look like when it pops up in my feed?
Yeah. Give us some examples.
Well, the study broke it down into several distinct forms, but the key thing to remember is just how varied it is and how it's really designed to blend in. For instance, you have AI slop as authority satire. This is content that mocks, say, political figures or other authority figures, often showing them in absurd, obviously non-realistic situations, like that example of three popes eating cake together. The humor is meant to make it seem harmless, perhaps, but the underlying AI imagery itself is still often very plausible looking.
Right, using humor to maybe lower your guard.
But then there's the even more concerning category, synthetic AI imagery as plausible disinformation.
Okay, this sounds serious.
It really is. Think about synthetic interviews. The study mentioned an Instagram reel that showed these fake but photorealistic interview clips, supposedly from Iran. It was framed with this big leading title, "Exclusive Interviewing Iranians." Now, the creator did flag it somewhere as satire, but crucially, it lacked any official AI label from Instagram itself.
So it looked like news, but wasn't labeled properly by the platform.
Exactly. And we also see stuff they call synthetic citizen journalism, like an unlabeled TikTok clip showing what looked like a nuclear explosion. It got reshared as if it was real footage from Iran.
Oh, wow.
But its original source on YouTube had actually correctly disclosed that it was synthetic, AI generated, but that context got lost. It's designed to look just like a real news report or, footage from someone on the ground. Another really fascinating category they identified is synthetic storytelling and elusive historicizing.
Elusive historicizing.
Oh. It's where AI is used to create impossible photography. Basically, photorealistic renderings of historical scenes or characters that maybe never existed or certainly weren't photographed, or it generates synthetic point-of-view footage. POV footage visualizing, say, what it would be like to be in a specific historical place or event, often shown from a first-person perspective.
So like putting you inside a historical moment that wasn't actually filmed.
Precisely. The goal seems to be creating this compelling, almost immersive illusion of a past that never really happened, or at least wasn't captured that way. It shows the incredible creative power of these tools, for sure, but also, their potential to really distort our understanding of history.
And I think they mentioned AI slop as stock images too, like visual aids.
That's right. AI slop as stock images. Sometimes the AI content just functions as a visual aid, generating ideas as stock images for abstract concepts. You might see this in discussions using #health, for example, or visualizing internal bodily processes, kind of generating the invisible body, as the study put it. Less about deception, maybe more about illustration.
Okay. And there's one more. Rendering synthetic past futures.
Yes, rendering synthetic past futures. This includes things like reanimating surrogate clips, taking real still photos and bringing them to life using generative AI, or generating synthetic surrogate clips, which might show real figures doing historically impossible or just plain silly things like those Pope examples again. It plays with time and reality.
Okay, so we've got this huge scale, these sophisticated automated accounts, all these different types of AI content flooding feeds, which brings us to the really critical question, right? Given all this, how are the platforms actually handling it? Are they telling us what's real and what's not? And the answer, well, unfortunately, it might surprise you. Or maybe not, depending on how cynical you are.
Oh, maybe.
The research uncovered a truly critical finding. Roughly half. Half of all the synthetic AI content they found on TikTok and Instagram is not labeled appropriately.
Half. Yeah, that's a huge gap. And this is really where we see the significant disconnect between the policies the platforms say they have and the reality you actually encounter on the ground.
So their rules aren't being enforced.
It certainly seems that way. On TikTok, for instance, even though they have what looks like a pretty robust definition of AI-generated content that should be labeled, the study found only one single instance where TikTok itself had applied a label. Just one. Almost all the labels they did find were added by the creators themselves.
And are those creator labels easy to see?
Not always. Even when creators do add disclosures, maybe using hashtags or text in the description, these are often hidden. You actually have to click to expand the description to even find them. So it's not exactly prominent.
Right, hidden away. What about Instagram?
Instagram. The situation there was arguably even starker. Out of 13 synthetic AI posts they analyzed closely, only 3 were labeled at all, and their single official AI info label. It's often hidden behind a second click, or if you happen to be viewing Instagram on the web, it might be completely non-existent.
Wow. So basically, disclosure is minimal and often requires effort from you to even find it, if it's there at all.
And if you connect this to the bigger picture, the regulatory landscape, it's pretty clear these platforms are, well, falling short. The EU's AI Act and the Digital Services Act, the DSA, they have really clear requirements now. They mandate transparent and prominently marked synthetic media, especially when it could reasonably be mistaken for depicting real events or real people.
So there are rules coming in.
Absolutely. In fact, Spain is already moving to implement significant fines for non-compliance with these kinds of transparency rules. The pressure is mounting.
So, okay, we had this really stark contradiction then. The platforms themselves, in their own reports, they acknowledge that AI content poses a systemic risk. They claim they have sophisticated detection mechanisms, clear policies. Yet, this research clearly shows they are consistently failing to enforce their own rules effectively, leaving a huge amount of this AI-generated content unlabeled, just circulating freely. It just makes you wonder, if they know it's a risk and they claim they have the tools, why isn't proper labeling happening consistently?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And this really brings us to the core, so what, for you, for your daily life online. The sheer volume of this unlabeled, often incredibly plausible AI content just makes it significantly harder for you to critically figure out what's factual information and what's fabrication.
Right. It muddies the waters completely.
It really does. And this impacts basically everything, from your understanding of political events to your awareness about, say, health advice you stumble upon online. You're almost forced to become an expert digital detective just to navigate your own feed safely.
And it's not just about what you see, is it? There was something about how it spreads, too.
Yes, that's another key point. The research also found that statistically, AI content tends to get shared more often on TikTok, which suggests it might have this kind of natural viral propensity, regardless of whether it's authentic or not. It seems built to spread.
Whether it's real or fake, it just travels faster.
That seems to be the tendency, yeah. It's designed to grab attention, designed to be shared. And this naturally raises a really important question. What are the significant implications here for things like information operations or potential manipulation campaigns? Especially when you consider the growing sophistication and the increasing autonomy of these AI agents we talked about, the AAAs.
Right, it's not just deepfakes anymore.
Exactly. We're talking about the potential for entire accounts, maybe entire narratives being created and spread at scale, possibly without much direct human intervention needed day to day. That's a different level of challenge.
Okay, so just to kind of summarize what we've really uncovered in this deep dive today. The digital landscape that you navigate every single day is becoming increasingly saturated with this widespread, sophisticated, and crucially, often unlabeled AI-generated content.
Saturation is a good word for it.
And this whole phenomenon seems largely propelled by these automated agentic AI accounts that are systematically, almost industrially, just gaming the algorithms.
So maybe the final thought to leave you with is this. As these generative AI tools become even more accessible, even more capable, and more integrated into autonomous systems, what does this ongoing brute force attack on the algorithms, as the source put it, what does it really mean for our collective ability to trust what we see and hear online?
Yeah.
And maybe even for the very nature of truth itself in our digital age? It's a huge question, and it's one we're all going to have to grapple with probably every single time we scroll from now on.